All right, good day, America. Good day, and welcome to the Truth to Freedom podcast. I'm James Parker, one of the half co-hosts here, and my other co-host is Mr. Quentin Williams. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. How you doing?
Man, everything is great. Everything is great. How's the family? How's that little baby of yours doing?
Good. Family's good. She's almost walking now. She's pulling up on stuff. She ain't got her balance just yet though.
Uh-oh. You be chasing her around the house. Come back here. Go. Oh, no. Come here. Come. No. Come back here.
Yep.
Look, both y'all be sitting on the couch. Where's she at? I thought you was watching her. No, I thought you were watching her. No, you said you was watching her. Next thing you...
Yep. Everything out the cabinets.
I love it. I mean, ain't nothing like family. I tell you. It's good. It's good. So, all right, America, we're going to touch on some things, but let me just give a disclaimer at the beginning of this so it don't get twisted. This is not a beat up or pile up or whatever hate against Kamala Harris, even though a lot of it is showing stuff about her. It's not. We're using this episode today to kind of point out some differences. And so you can observe for yourself and kind of listen, because I think what happens, we get caught up into the whole politics, the speeches, the events, the rhetoric, the he say she. We get so absorbed that we're not really listening to what they're saying. And when you do that, you key in on some stuff and you can really see that they're just being politicians. And we don't need politicians no more. We need real people in office that can give real solutions to solve real problems that the everyday American folks are having. What do you say about that, Quentin?
I agree. Um, yeah. Uh, our whole purpose is to be objective. So I hope no one thinks we are just beating up on Kamala because we do the same thing to the other side. It's all objective and it's all facts. Just to highlight some things to maybe give a different perspective.
Yeah, so I just want to put that out there because I know when anybody watch this without me saying that, they'll think that because I don't care for the Democratic Party. I used to be Democratic. I used to follow them. I used to be a sheep. I used to not listen. I used to follow this, vote because the Democratic Party says who supposed to vote because Black Power. We're voting for these people because they're Black, not because they qualify, but they're Black. I look back now, I'm like, I was so stupid. I really was. That was dumb and stupid because in the midst of all that, they're telling you uh how your vote counts. Don't waste your vote. People died so you can vote, but yet the vote didn't matter. The vote was just thrown into a pool. You know what I'm saying? I just voted to be voting. It didn't go toward anything. It went toward a party that didn't care about me. I wish I'd have known now, know what I know now. I knew back then I'd have made some way better decisions when it came to voting and who I was following, because it's 2024 and ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed. I don't know, dog. And then uh blessed enough to meet Quentin and have conversations with him to even enlighten on more stuff. Cause Quentin, how old are you?
33.
So Quentin is 33. And so his generation, you would think, well, he's he's the exception. He Quentin is the exception for his generation, that, and he'll even admit to it. Um, their attitude is just different. Their work ethic is just different. It's just a different generation, uh, due to how they were brought up. But he was brought up by his grandparents, and they still had the old traditions and all. So actually, he's an old soul in a young body.
Yeah.
But he brings very good insight as far as uh, what would be equitable for all. And so we're going to talk about some of that and um, moving forward. But again, like I said, this ain't nothing against Kamala Harris. If that's who you want to vote for, if you feel that's the right candidate, by all means vote for him. That's fine. Same with Trump. You feel he's the man for the job. That's fine. Vote. I'm not mad at you. Just like Quinn said, we just want to give people another perspective. Really, really think about the choices that they have and what's being said. And after you done really went through all the facts, you done went through all the rhetoric, and you kind of got all what you need to know. If that's your choice for your candidate, by all means do so. So I am not mad at you. You got anything to add to that there, Mr. Quentin?
And nope, I don't.
Okay. All right, folks. So I want to start off. Whoops. I did something wrong. Hold on. I want to start off with I want to show y'all guys something. So I know everybody done seen it by now. So um what's her name? Oprah. God, I'm trying to think of her name. Oprah Winfrey with all her her with all her stuff decided to do this big town hall hoopla. Um Invited all these people in, and if you watch the background, and they got everybody on Zoom, on TV monitors and all these different celebrities that came on to talk about endorsing Kamala Harris. And I was discussing earlier before we started the podcast with Quentin. Uh, this is what we want to point out. This town hall that they did, this whatever they want to call it, that they did was the biggest waste of money and the biggest waste of time, because I ain't learned no more, nothing less watching it, that knowing that this woman may be the next president and is not going to do nothing for me and my family. And then they had the nerve to have all these high profile, well, some of them ain't seen them and I don't know when, but these, celebrities people know, and so forth and so on, giving their so-called endorsement. Now, like I was telling Quentin earlier, these people don't have the same questions that we have. They're not worrying about food, gas, rent. They're not. They're not worrying about none of that. But yet they're gonna come on and endorse this woman for president. That's not gonna do anybody no good. But anyway, I wanted to show. I'm sorry, I'm still running my mouth. I wanted to show. This is a clip. This is a clip of what she was talking about um, on this town hall. And my thing is, as you can see the caption up there, it says, "What is she saying?" I, they ask her a question. She goes off into these fairy tale moments, and I'm sitting there thinking, "What in the world is she talking about?" But just listen to what she said.
We are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being. Because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are. We are
Okay. I don't know what she was talking about. I'm gonna stop there for a minute. I don't know what she was talking about. The optimistic people. We're optimistic. We're optimistic. What the heck is she talking about? We're optimistic. First of all, and then she said, "This is how we came into being." No, actually, the way we came into the beginning, God created man. He made man out of dirt. he blew breath and life into the man. He created woman. That's how we came. That's how we came into being. If you want to be honest, I don't know what she's talking about. This optimistic and all this other stuff and repatriate. That little clip, I'm trying to figure out what in the world you talking about, woman.
Yeah.
Could you figure it out? What did you get out of that, Quentin?
So I agree with you. When they every time Oprah asked her a question, she went off on just started telling the story. And at one point in the video, when she talked about the border, she started telling the story. And so Oprah went back and she said, "Okay, so to answer his question, are you going to do these things?" Trying to get it back on track. But I think in that little clip, she's talking about the foundation of America. Um, she's trying to, you know, good vibes and preach to people and make them feel good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let me get off this one. And all right, I think this is the actual, yeah, this is the actual start of the thing. Was over an hour. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. We're just gonna watch Mississippi because I want to because also during this thing they brought up the abortion issue, and then I want your opinion on that as well, Quentin. Because I thought this was wrong. I really did that they would bring this up about that situation in
With the
uh
girl,
Georgia, yeah, about she had took the pill. Um, so we'll discuss that when I show that video. But let's just watch this opening and talk about some stuff. Hold on. That's the fakest hug I have ever seen. Like she was really happy to see her. But like I said, folks, this is a big waste of, well, Oprah got the money, so I'm sorry. Maybe for her it wasn't no big deal, but for the money they spent to set this up with all the monitors and all the TVs, um, how many people we could have fed? I don't know. Just saying. What was that?
I didn't even realize the TVs that's up there.
Oh, you didn't? That's yeah.
No,
Yeah, they had all these people on Zoom and all them they had all those monitors set back up there for them to watch. And you see the stage of the audience is full as well. Oh yeah.
yeah.
They put some money into this.
So welcome to hello, Madam Vice President. Hello, welcome to Michigan.
It's so good to be back. And Governor, thank you for everything you are and everything you do for the state. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
can you see this? We have 1,000
my
screens
goodness.
here
Oh, my
representing people from all over the country.
Hi, everyone.
Can you
Oh, my
feel?
goodness,
Can you
yes.
feel? Can you feel it? Can you feel
I
the
can.
joy rising in here?
I can, and I have to tell you, there's so much that I love about our campaign because it really is about the people.
Okie dokie. It's about the people. Yeah. I get you. It's about the people. I wish I had downloaded this one.
EVE Online is a vast universe.
And I look around at these screens, Oprah, I look at who's in the room, and this is America.
This is
America. You know, I was saying with a group of friends earlier,
Okay, this is where she lost me. She said, "This is America." You tell me, Quentin, how is this America? Because the America I know, I got people sleeping on benches. I got people that's getting kicked out of their apartments because they can't afford the rent. So
Yeah.
how's she saying this is America?
I think she's appealing to I don't know what vibes again. I think she's looking at it from like a diversity standpoint.
Well, they definitely made sure that there's some diversity in there. I've seen Asian, black, white, all kind of ethnic different backgrounds. I even saw Indian in there somewhere. So yeah, they made sure it was a diverse background.
But like you said, we see people sleeping. They should have invited the homeless guy 2 blocks down the road to come in.
Oh, they
'Cause
weren't gonna do that.
I'm sure there's some homeless people around there.
And I tell you, if she had truly brought in America, the people that are really hurting, this would have been a whole different scenario.
Yep.
I think in this moment where we've dealt with so much that I think is quite exhausting around powerful forces that would try and divide us and
Yes.
try us.
Okay, this is another thing I didn't like. She making it seem like it's only the Republican Party that's doing the dividing and the name calling and the all this so-called hatred during this politics this campaign, and she just couldn't take. Okay, well, if you go back to the debate, she was giving tit for tat for Trump. If he said something, she said something back and said he must be out of his mind and how dare you
Yep.
think that America. So I mean, what did she say? She had like that she, I'm innocent. I haven't said anything.
Yep.
To have us as Americans pointing fingers at each other.
Yes.
That this movement that is about reminding each other that we have so much more in common than what separates us is so critically important. And this is about the strength of who we are as Americans. And this movement that we're in about, as I like to say, seeing in the face of a stranger a neighbor.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
An extension of love thy neighbor, that you literally in the face of a stranger see a neighbor.
Yes.
And approach each other with that level of dignity and grace and kindness.
Well, that's exactly what happened with the Win with Black Women. I know
Yes,
you've known Joe Taker for many years.
Thank you, my
That's
dear.
exactly what happened.
She started it.
Is that they had this big call. They had the big
It's your
call.
fault.
They had the big call and then said, let's open the door.
Yeah.
Let's open the door and invite everybody else in. And everybody actually came.
Organically.
Yes.
Organically.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of our country.
Question for you is, when you become president, what would be your specific steps? Yeah, of course. What would be your specific steps to strengthening the border?
So it's a wonderful and important question. My background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected attorney general for 2 terms of a border state. So this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on.
Okay.
I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I take very seriously the importance of having a secure border and ensuring the safety of the American people. Sadly, where we are now can be traced most recently back to the fact that when the United States Congress, members of the Congress, including some of the most conservative Republicans, came up with a border security bill. And here's what that border security bill would have done. It would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. And let me tell you, those border agents are working around the clock. It would have just been about giving them some support and relief, which is probably why the border agents actually endorsed the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl. And I'm looking at people from all over the country here, so I don't need to tell the folks who are watching this what fentanyl has done to families, to kids in our country, and the need to take seriously stemming the flow coming into our country and addressing that extraordinary and tragic issue in terms of its effect. The bill would have allowed us to have more resources to prosecute transnational criminal organizations. And it would have been part of the solution. And Donald Trump called up those folks and said, don't put that bill on the floor for a vote. He blocked the bill, and you know why?
Why?
Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
I'll let you speak on that, Queen, because I think that's BS.
Yeah. Well, she didn't answer the question, and as you go further in the video, Oprah will ask her again. I mean, she's doing it. She's, instead of answering the question, she's painting him as the bad guy. What she just said that about the division.
That we should stop doing. I was gonna say the same thing. She never did ask the question. He asked,
No,
what
she didn't.
specifically going to do this, to help the border crisis, whatever. And then she goes into this very good question. And then she goes off into the story about how I was the prosecutor in California and all this other stuff, which in turns makes her look bad because what she's saying is, I knew there was a problem. It was a problem when I was in California. I supposedly did whatever, prosecuted, um, while I was in California. So you identified that back when you was in California, this is years ago now, you was in California, you identified it was a problem. So why is it still an issue? Why is it still an issue? Anyway, I digress.
And he has put his personal political security before border security.
And let me ask you a question, Quentin. I should have did some research on this one. I will, but maybe you might know. So that border bill went up, and what she just said that Trump called everybody and told them to vote it down, whatever the case might be. Is that a situation where they could have just did an executive order and override that?
I'm not sure because Mitch McConnell, the Republicans actually wrote the bill.
That's what I thought.
Yes,
Go
but
ahead.
in the end, I think the article said that only 4 Republicans voted on it, and Mitch McConnell didn't even vote yes on it.
Okay. I'm sorry, America. I thought about this after I was reading it and I saw it the first time. I need to know if that's a situation in Congress. They could have did an executive order. I think in the cases of American security and thing, I would think that he would be able to implement an executive order if the bill is going to help protect America. I would think. I don't know. I'm gonna find out because if that's the case, she's really full of it. Because if that bill was that important, then Biden should have just overrode them and went on about their business. I don't know why they didn't.
Instead of twiddling their thumb saying, "Oh well, we can't do anything," they won't let us.
Yeah, and so then you want to put it back on Trump again. This is what we do. We go back and forth, and so just hear what we say in America. All the issues that could be solved and fixed, so we can move on to something else. They don't want to fix it because here we are, another election time, and they want to bring this up as an issue when it shouldn't be an issue. Since you knew about it back when you was in California, why didn't you use your status then to bring stuff to Congress and to the Senate? Should have put a bill on the floor back when you was the senator, to get this rectified because you already knew the problem. You just not finding out that the border's an issue is a problem. You knew about this when you was in California, Miss Kamala Harris. Anyway.
Because understand, even in the intervening months, what that bill would have done to give support to folks who care about this issue. And this again gets to the point about what does leadership really look like? And is it about you or is it about the people?
Right.
Is it about running on problems or fixing problems? My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the needs because we know it's within our capacity to do that.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin.
Listen to this. A majority of young Americans, 18 to 34.
What's up?
Since she said that, she'll make sure it gets to her desk and sign it into law. Well, since she said that, we can argue that Biden could have did that the whole time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, if this thing go up and then turn around and she do an executive, or if she can do it and she does an executive order, that she lost all credibility because she just lied on herself,
Yeah.
saying what she said, and then they turn around and then they do an executive order and sign it into law. Really? Anyway.
Attention retirees, if you're willing to be at your computer from 9 a.m. to
No, I'm not
10:45
putting my
a.m.
computer down here.
What?
In Philadelphia, Rachel and Garrett say they have to watch every penny.
When I think of middle class, I think about people who are able to just get up and go and do things within their means and like not extravagant things, but be able to get up and go to dinner whenever they want, or maybe take that trip, that long weekend trip. We don't have that luxury.
By a long shot, her tax plan is phenomenal, no glaze.
Kamala Harris just delivered her new economic plan, and boy, oh boy, is it good for small business owners.
Holy shit, you guys. Kamala Harris is going to announce tomorrow a $25,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers.
When I am elected president, I will make it a top priority to bring down costs and increase economic security for all Americans.
Well, Rachel and Garrett are joining us on Zoom from Pennsylvania, and I understand your sister and brother-in-law moved in, and you're hoping to save money to have a second child?
That's right. Hi, Oprah. Hi, Madam Vice President. It's nice to be with you all.
Yes.
Hi.
And so what did you want to say to the Vice President?
So, Madam Vice President, we are, like many, many young Americans, just experiencing a very high cost of living. We ended up giving up our apartment, moving in with our parents, who were so gracious to take us in for over a year so that we could save money and ultimately buy a home, because that's what we thought the American dream was, to get married and buy a home and have a baby. And now here we are, and our mortgage is incredibly higher than what we thought it would be. And my sister and our brother-in-law are living with us right now so that they can hopefully one day do the same. And while it's beneficial for us because they help us pay off some of our mortgage, it's also beneficial for them because they can save on cheaper rent. But we really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries. So that's why I'm taking on, for example, price gouging, which is when, most companies and corporations are good, but for those bad ones, they take advantage of people, especially during a pandemic or extreme weather, and they end up jacking up prices, and there needs to be accountability and consequence for that. So I'm going to be taking on price gouging. But it's also about dealing with what we need to do around home ownership, right? So as someone mentioned during this film, look, I grew up a child of a mother who worked very hard. She raised me and my sister, and she saved up, and by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy a home. And we grew up actually for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center that was owned by the woman we called our second mother, because she helped my mother raise us. And she was a small business owner, Miss Shelton. So I'll bring all this together to tell you the way I think about it is, one, when people work hard and have a dream of buying a home, we should give you the opportunity to be able to do that, which is why part of my plan is for first-time homeowners, buyers, to have a $25,000 down payment assistance to buy your first home.
Brittany, correct me if I'm wrong. You got to qualify for this, though, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's going to be an application for it. Everybody ain't going to get it.
I didn't think so. It's another video on the show that she announces some stuff, and I was like, but you got to qualify. But I want to bring this out, America, and just hear me. Just hear what I'm saying. So they picked this couple out. So they're saying now they had to live with their parents to save up to buy a house. And now that they have bought this house, they can't afford to they can't afford to live in the house. So to make this story effective, or to make it credible, or to even believe what they're saying, I got to know the whole backstory. They're leaving out too many, because if he's the only one working and she's a stay-at-home mom, then they probably bought a house that they couldn't afford to begin with.
Yeah.
And so I really need to know the whole story, because that there's something missing. I understand they had to move in with the parents to save up. That's fine. You finally bought a house. Now you're telling me that you can't afford to stay in the house. So now your sister and the son and the brother-in-law done moved in, doing the same thing you did when you moved in with the parents to try to help you keep this house. So apparently you bought a house out of your means, because if he was going to work and you was going to stay at home and take care of the baby, then you knew to sit down to figure out exactly what you wanted to be able to afford on his salary. And it probably is way more downsides than that. And she said something about she thought the middle class was able to go out and do things and take trips and all this other stuff. That's never been the middle class. That's the upper echelon. That's the wealthy. That's your elites. That's your stars and pro athletes and things. They're able to do all that stuff. Nobody never said that the middle class is able to do that. They're the ones that've been struggling. Anyway.
Because people just need to be able to get their foot in the door, and then you'll do the hard work. Part of my plan is what we need to do to support small businesses, because my second mother was a small business owner, and I love our small businesses and our small business owners. They are not only business leaders, they are community leaders. They mentor, they hire locally, and we have so many entrepreneurs in our country who have great ideas, incredible work ethic, but not necessarily access to capital, because not everybody, like my opponent, was handed $400 million on a silver plate that he filed bankruptcy 6 times on. And so part of my plan is to give startup small businesses a $50,000 tax deduction to start up their small business. Right now it's $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. So that's part of my plan.
That's a teeny tiny business.
That's a business in
teeny tiny business.
It's a concept of a business, right?
Yes.
You know where I'm going.
So what are they trying to say? So the 5,000 credit, little teeny tiny business, whatever. Really? I mean, I'm pretty sure some people out there can take that $5,000 and do something with it, depending on what they want to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who do, they work from home. Like they might make things at home and then they sell it. They send it through the mail, There's people that make shirts, all kinds of stuff. So you got some people that, I get it. If you want a brick and mortar, $5,000 ain't gonna get you nothing.
Right.
But if you working, you making, your supplies at home, and you're artsy, you're painting, because there's people that sell their paintings.
Yep.
Then you can get that $5,000 to help you a long way, because painting supplies ain't gonna be $5,000.
Nope.
You might pay a few hundred for them, but
But that's just it. The pandemic showed people. It actually forced them to find ways to earn and make money. And so now there's a lot of folks, like you said, that are at home. $5,000 will start a whole lot of at-home businesses, making T-shirts, cups, whatever. So anyway, let's move to the next one. Then I'm going to move on to something else. Let's do a little bit more.
All right.
Why I switched to this hair color and will never go back. I've been dyeing my grays for a few years now.
Dye your hair, dye your hair.
Virginia who's also struggling with the cost of living. Tell us your story, Shelby. Why?
Hi, Madam Vice President. Hi, Oprah. I'm 24 years old. I'm a graduate student living with my parents, and I want to move out next year and potentially buy a home. And I'm concerned about the affordability of one with the extra costs and bills that I'm paying now, along with the bills and costs I will pay in the future too. And so everything just has a cost and everything is so expensive. And so I'm worried about my capacity and how I'm able to fully support myself once I do live independently.
You sound like one of my daughter girls from South Africa graduated. She was like, I hate adulting. I hate adulting. This adulting isn't going so well. Yes.
Well, so first of all, congratulations on all the success you've already achieved. And it is your story and the story of our friends before you is really, that's the American story, right? You are working hard, you have goals, you have ambitions. And so part of it is, again, the $25,000 down payment assistance. Part of it is what we need to do to also push back against a very different vision for our country. Because look, in this election, there are two very different visions for our country. One, for me, that is focused on the future, including you, and another that is focused on the past. What Donald Trump, what my opponent plans on doing for the economy is doing what he did the last time he was president and giving another tax break for billionaires and the biggest corporations that would add $5 trillion to our deficit. And get this, he plans on doing what I call a Trump sales tax, which is basically he's going to put a 20% tax on everyday necessities that economists have estimated will cost the average American $4,000 more a year, which is why Goldman Sachs, which is why Moody's, which is why Wharton School of Business, which is why 16 Nobel laureates have collectively determined, after analyzing our plans, one, mine would strengthen the economy, his would weaken it. Two, that on his plan, he would actually blow up inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. So when you think about the cost of living, my approach is about lifting you up. His would be about actually weakening our economy.
Okay, now I'm gonna tell you this is a lie. Actually, the tax that Trump is talking about is a consumption tax, and he would do away with the other taxes that we have, and it would be based on your consumption. So actually it'd be better, because if you're not out there buying cars and all this other stuff, then you won't be paying no taxes. You keep your money. I mean, that's how I see it. What about you, Quinn?
I don't know enough about that portion of his tax plan to make a comment about it. That's when I watched this video, that was the first time I heard of that.
Look it up, because the consumption tax has been brought up before, but it never got no traction. And if I understood Trump when he talked about this, basically he would be doing it, so it wouldn't be no more as far as your income tax. Everything would be based on consumption. So the more you consume, the more you will pay in taxes. So basically, you will pay taxes based on whatever you buy. You buy a car, buy a washing machine, whatever you buy, that's when you pay your taxes. And you wouldn't have to pay it on the other end like we do now. So if you didn't buy anything that year, you would have kept most of your money. It wouldn't have went to taxes. Right now, you work all year and half your money goes to taxes.
Yeah.
And I know one of them, I forget which one. One of them talking about it's Trump, I think, talking about taking the taxes off of overtime and something else.
So it does say that he wants to replace the individual income tax with tariffs or a consumption tax.
Yep. And that's actually, well, I guess it depends on how you view at it. That's almost like the fair tax that they've been trying to, well, people have brought up that 999 plan that what's his name was talking about that passed away. It's along that same line. But you do away with the what's the name, and you just do a consumption tax. So, like I said, if you're not buying a lot of stuff, you're keeping your money because it's not going to taxes. So, I would think that would be a fair way to go, based on your consumption, because the people that's going to be consuming a lot are your upper echelon.
Yeah.
Your NBA players, your CEOs and things. They're the ones that's going to be spending the money. They're going to be the ones paying the most in taxes. The average folks, they're going to buy a car every 10 years, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll let her finish and we'll move on to something.
And I feel very strongly when an individual, when a small business, when a family, when the middle class is strong, America is strong.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you, Shelby.
Yeah. So, and it goes on and on. And anyway, let me stop sharing for a minute.
It sounds like Oprah just kind of cut her off.
Yeah. I don't know, brother. You tell me your opinion, because I mean, so that was a lot of hype and fanfare, and I still haven't gotten any meat and potatoes out of her. I mean, she goes into these stories. It's like, just answer the question. What are you going to do fix A, B, and C? Oh, I'm going to do this, and we're going to. No, she goes into, well, you know, my mother. We lived over this lady's. She was a small business owner. She was my second mother, and I'm thinking to myself, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't care about that. I don't care about your history. I don't care about your past. I don't care if that your hairstylist was your second mama. How you gonna fix this? There she go, giving a little sly comment about Trump. He was handed this X amount of money on a platter, and then he filed bankruptcy 8 times. But you just sat there at the beginning of this presentation complaining about the rhetoric that has been going on during this political campaign. So which one is it? She's full of it. But I'm gonna bring up something else, then we'll go back to her. But during this town hall, whatever, she also brought up the abortion thing. And yeah, here you go. So am I going back to that? No. Am I? I might. If I'm sure you've been, from my understanding, it's actually 2 stories, but the one story was about the lady in Atlanta that had took this so-called abortion pill. And apparently she took the pill. Everything did not come out. It didn't evacuate. And supposedly she was going to get medical care and she couldn't get treated. Unfortunately, she died. So before we go forward, our condolences to this family, because there's not enough information for me to even say to agree with any of these what they say, because I don't believe that there's a doctor in America that would have not treated her if she was in need, whether she took an abortion pill or not. She was in need of medical care, and they tried to say that the doctors wouldn't do anything and all this other stuff because it's against the law. That's BS. There's no law. Doctors take an oath on preserving life. So I can't believe that she went to a medical facility and was denied treatment because she took an abortion pill. That's a lie. But for her to use this story in order to further her campaign about abortion, I thought was kind of low, that you would bring this family on and use them for your political gains as far as abortion. I thought it was bad, but I wanted to show this clip You heard about that though, right, Quentin?
Yeah, I watched it in the video.
Yeah. So I just want to play this part right.
Bus tour to support the fundamental right for women to make decisions about our own bodies. And here is a short tape on that.
I did something that nobody thought was possible. I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
After Roe v. Wade was overturned, Tennessee put forth a ban immediately that banned all abortion with no exceptions.
Abortion bans are not pro-life. They are pro-poverty and pro-inequality.
It's been over 2 years since a 5-4 ruling by the Supreme Court ended Roe versus Wade, the landmark case that provided nearly 50 years of abortion rights across the United States. Since then, abortions have been banned in over a dozen states. Many women and doctors say the limits on reproductive rights have forced them into unimaginable situations.
These policies do not reflect evidence-based medical practice. They do not keep my patients safe.
According to the gender equity policy, women who live in states where abortion is banned are up to 3 times more likely to die during pregnancy, during childbirth, or soon after giving birth.
I nearly died, all because of Donald Trump's Supreme Court justices overturning Roe v. Wade.
So for the millions of you who watched the Democratic National Convention, you will remember Hadley Duvall telling her incredibly powerful story. And in case you didn't see it, here's just a brief look.
Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and question I get all the time is, how do I make my personal assets?
Growing up, I was an all-American girl. Varsity soccer captain, cheerleading captain, homecoming queen, and survivor. I was raped by my stepfather after years of sexual abuse. At age 12, I took my first pregnancy test, and it was positive.
Hadley is here. Stand up, Hadley.
Now let me say this before they go on. This is horrible. This is horrible what happened to her. It's horrible. My heart goes out to her. This is horrible. But why would you go get the worst case scenario to try to prove your point? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get the worst case scenario, like this is the norm. You get the worst case scenario. So you're going to exploit this girl's trauma on TV to prove your point about an abortion so you can get Roe versus B. Wade back in or whatever the case might be. See, this is how sinister these parties can get. Both of them is just as sinister that they would do this. They go get the worst case scenario and parade them in front of you to make it seem like this is the norm. Again, my heart goes out to her. This is horrible. If they had any heart and compassion, they wouldn't have brought her on here.
Yeah.
But we'll move on.
I can tell you, we are all standing up because we are so impressed by your courage to stand up and share your story. Where did that come from, the strength to do this? Because I'm sure you thought long and hard before deciding to go public with your story.
When Roe v. Wade was overturned,
thanks everybody,
I woke up with a harsh reality of my abuse was over, but my story is not. And I just could not fathom thinking about the other Hadleys out there that don't have that choice, that don't have somebody to go to. So being able to find courage and be the light for them, that's really what I do it for.
And so what do you want to say to other people who are voting in this election regarding what happened to you and what that means?
You can't wait until it's too late to care about reproductive health care, because then it's too late. And when it affects you, it it hits, and you can't deny it. You can't look at someone with a story like mine and say it didn't happen. And there are more people like me out there, and there are going to be so many more who deserve their options. They deserve their choices. Let's get involved. We have someone who's willing to hear us at a level like never before. We have someone who wants to know what we want in this country. We have someone who wants to lift up our voice, and we need to show out and show up for her just like she's showing out and showing up for us.
All right. Is there something you wanted to say to Madam Vice President?
Madam Vice President, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for seeing us, for hearing us when the Supreme Court won't. Thank you for fighting and, really showing us that life is not about the hard things that you go through. You don't bow down, even when you're the underdog, especially when you're the underdog.
That's right.
You stand up and you stand tall, and you give me so much hope and so much strength, and thank you.
Man, talk about a feel-good moment.
Yeah. That's sad, though.
It is. Her story is sad and tragic, and I pray that she's able to well, it looks like she's overcoming them. I don't know her mental state, but I pray that she's able to move forward in life and put this behind her and grow and flourish. But to parade her out here like that in order to prove a point is my point, that both parties, and like I said, it's not just the Republican Party, it's both, that they will go to extreme measures to prove their point. And let me just say this, and Quentin, you give your opinion as well. This is my thing about abortion, because it'll take a whole nother show to talk about it. But America, let me just enlighten you. The abortion argument that is given on both sides, pro-abortion and non-pro-abortion, is not what abortion is about, okay? All that is a bunch of hoopla that they argue back and forth. Abortion goes a lot deeper. It really is. And like I said, that's a whole nother podcast, because what they're arguing and what they're saying about abortion and women's rights, it's more biblical than that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It goes deeper than that, because I want y'all to think about something. So what's the organization? Planned
Parenthood. Yeah.
So I want y'all to listen to this. Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood, which means we're going to help you plan to be a parent. We're going to set a plan in place to help you be a parent. But how can I plan to help you be a parent when I'm giving you an abortion? Do y'all understand the rhetoric behind that? The oxymoron? Planned Parenthood is the one advocating abortion. They're the ones that had trailers out at the DNC convention giving abortions. Again, Planned Parenthood ain't planning to help you be a parent. They're the ones giving you the abortion. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But that's, like I said, the whole arguments on both sides, they're not the arguments. It goes way deeper than that. But anyway, I'm gonna turn it over to Quentin. What's your opinion, sir?
Well, I'm gonna talk about the what we just saw. So I just looked up her information.
Mm-hmm.
She's 22, and like she said, her stepfather raped her, and she got pregnant at 12, and she miscarried, and she kept it a secret until the Roe v. Wade decision came out, and that's what prompted her to start speaking out. I just wanted to give a little more context to her. But the whole argument, I'm like you. So the argument about abortion is both sides to me are extreme. Nobody's really, they're not telling the truth. Um, the Republicans, um, a lot of the laws they wanted to implement are really extreme and like draconian. Uh, they were talking about charging women for having miscarriages and the way that the law was written. So, people were worried about that, and rightly so, because we know just how far the law can go, or how far people will go to quote unquote obey the law in this country.
Yeah.
It's not always moral, it's not always ethical, and it's not always about justice.
No, it's not.
And the Dems, the Democrats, they on the other extreme. Nobody, I feel like just like anything else, no one's telling the truth, and they all just have their agendas they want to push.
And then you hit it right on the head. That's exactly what it boils down to. Pushing an agenda. And ain't no telling what's all in the background with this. Because, I mean, to be honest, you think, really to be honest, think about it. Why are we even worried about it? Why we have a law about abortion? Why would you care? That is between her doctor, and God. Whatever they want to decide to do.
I agree.
Why do we even have a law that has anything to do with abortion?
Also, I want to say, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Also, with the Republicans, a lot of them make it about morality and ethics, but these politicians aren't stupid. They're running their own agendas, and our society, and I'm just gonna say it. So capitalism needs somebody on the bottom. Capitalism needs bodies, and the birth rate is declining. And one of their solutions is to just make women have babies. They're just gonna make them have babies. They're gonna ban all of it. So them saying that it's about morality and ethics, and I don't believe a lot of those people are moral people at all. They don't care. A lot of them, everything is just about money. So that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, that is the bottom line. Money and power. With these people. Control, money, and power. That's what that's where we're at. And so like I said, I just think it's sad that they would exploit people that have gone through such just tragic, horrible situations, and they bring them out and use them as a template. Like, this is the norm, and this is what you're fighting for, and this is what you need to stop, and all this other stuff. So I'm glad you brought that content out, because I really was under the impression that she had an abortion.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I was too. That's why I looked it up. Yeah.
I thought she had an abortion. That was the whole purpose. But she had a miscarriage. So now she's trying to say, well, she wanted to speak up because she had a miscarriage, but I'm speaking up for the people that want an abortion. Again, how does that even tie to anything? But again, this woman has gone through this horrible event in her life, and y'all exploiting it. So that's what I'm saying, America. Is this what we want? Is this what we want representing us, that they would go that low to do something like that? But again, it's your vote. You do what you want to do. Anyway, all right, back to the election. So I also want to talk about so we know how Kamala voted. How Kamala Harris answers questions, and how Trump. I want to bring a clip up with Bernie Sanders. This is back when he was running against Hillary Clinton, and so they're asking him questions, and about what America wants, the real issues. And I just want to play a small part of this. Just hear how he answers the question. Hear how he has precise answers. He's not giving stories about when he was a little boy on his grandfather's knee, and they used to go fishing, and he would read him Tom Sawyer stories and all. He gives answers to the question. So I just want to play. It's only 3 minutes, so it's not even that long. So here we go.
Leading Sanders nationally by more than 30 points. So I asked the senator whether the magic from the summer was gone.
No, absolutely not. Let's go back 6 months and let's look at Bernie Sanders announcing his candidacy and being 3-4% in the polls. No money in his campaign, no volunteers, no political organization, running against a woman who is enormously well known, whose husband was president of the United States. What's happening?
That would be Hillary Clinton.
Well, I don't want to say so, but if you say it, I'll agree.
Okay.
Look, we started off 6 months ago. Be honest, Gloria.
Right.
What did the media consider Bernie Sanders? A fringe candidate, right? Not a serious candidate. Be honest, that was the case. Now you're saying, well, you haven't quite won this thing yet. That tells me that we've made real progress in 6 months.
So Hillary Clinton has 31 endorsements from people in the Senate.
Yes.
And you don't have any.
That's correct.
What does that show?
It tells you that one of us is a candidate of the establishment. One of us is involved in establishment politics and establishment economics. And it says that maybe the other candidate is prepared to take on the establishment.
That would be you.
That would be me. Yes, I think that's probably right.
Before we get to the contrast between you and Clinton, I want to talk about Hillary Clinton's damn emails, as you're to quote you.
The American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too.
What I said during the debate is what I say to you now. Same thing. Is I think the American people get tired of seeing front page stories from the media day after day about emails. They want to know why their kids can't afford to go to college. They want to know why they can't afford health care, why we have a grotesque level of income and wealth inequality. That's what they want.
But they want to know about their presidential candidates.
Sure they do,
when
but day after day after day, and that's why I said enough is enough with the emails, and I believe that. Now, there is a process underway, and what I said, right after the debate, there is a process, there's an investigation. Let it take its course. I'm not involved in that.
What is legitimate for the process to investigate?
I honestly don't know.
National security
Sure, all
questions?
of those issues. It's just not something I have paid a whole lot of attention to.
There are issues of trust with Hillary Clinton, and you sort of gave her a pass during the debate. Do you regret that?
No, I do not regret that at all. I mean, I cannot walk down the corridors in Capitol Hill without being really begged by the media to attack Hillary Clinton. They want to make this personal. It's easy to cover. I choose not to do that. Let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about Wall Street. Let's talk about climate change. Let's talk about education. Frankly, that is what the American people want to hear discussed.
Let me talk to you about the issues between you and Hillary Clinton, because she has recently come to oppose the Pacific Trade Deal, come to oppose Keystone, as the president opposes Keystone, has vowed to take on big banks. How should voters view these changes?
Fair
you like
question.
the question? You like the
good question.
Oh, thank you. How should voters view those changes?
What you should see is, how do you feel about U.S. trade policies? That's the first question. Do you think it's good? The question is, who is out front on this issue, who has consistently been opposed to trade policy? I think the answer is pretty obvious. I am glad, by the way, let me be frank, that Hillary Clinton finally came on board in opposition.
But does it tell you anything about her?
That's what the American people will have to decide.
What do you think?
No, I'll let the American people decide that. I am not voting for Hillary Clinton. Let me be clear. You got a breaking news story here. I'm supporting Bernie Sanders.
So, there you go. He had clear answers. He was precise. He didn't pick holes at Hillary, and when she even tried to entice him, he said, "Hey, let the American people decide." I mean, that's a candidate, and maybe you can explain. Maybe you can explain, Quentin. I'm trying to figure out how all the time Bernie Sanders has run that he has not gotten he has never got the momentum or the support he should have got. I don't understand that. I don't know. You tell me, brother. I don't know. I'll let you answer that one.
Because the establishment pushed him out. They don't want Bernie Sanders because Bernie is actually going to change the status quo. They want a Hillary Clinton because Hillary isn't going to do anything except what we've been doing. And what they failed to realize is Americans don't want to keep doing the same thing because it's not working. I mean, honestly, that's why Trump was popular to begin with. That was the only reason why he won. It's because he came with something different. People are tired of the status quo. And then when they put him against Hillary, it was like a no-brainer. You know, they saw what Bill Clinton's policies did to working class people. The whole NAFTA thing and the militarization of the police, and even her with everything that happened in Benghazi and how she just like laughed about it. I mean, if you listen to her talk, she sounds sociopathic. So the establishment, they don't, you know, the old guard or the big people up there with money, they don't want Bernie. And even I think it was Jamie Dimon, the CEO of I think is JP Morgan, the Chase Bank. He said that if Bernie was nominated, he was voting for Trump. So they don't want Bernie. They don't want Bernie. They don't want people like him. It's the same reason Ralph Nader didn't get as far as he got, because he should have got far. But the people with money, the big money, the corporations buy lobbyists and, you know, pay for have their laws lobbied for. They don't want anybody that's gonna touch their money, that's gonna change the laws that benefit them.
Yeah, I get you right. Sad. So let me show one last thing. So is it this one? So Harris gave a thing in Philadelphia, and so Mark Cuban weighed in on this one. Let's take a listen.
Vice President Kamala Harris sitting down for one of her first one-on-one network interviews since becoming the Democratic nominee for president. Here's an exchange that she had with MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle about tariffs.
Tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, and I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues. And one must be serious and have a plan, and a real plan that's not just about some talking point ending in an exclamation at a political rally, but actually putting the thought into what will be the return on the investment and what will be the economic impact on everyday people.
We've got a lot of ground to cover with our next guest. I want to bring in Mark Cuban for his takeaways. Mark is a billionaire investor, of course, entrepreneur, is also a supporter of Vice President Harris, so we know where you stand. I'm curious, listening to her there, and you called in a couple weeks ago to talk about what you thought she would be telling the public. And we quizzed you. We went back a little back and forth about just how much you knew versus what the public knew. How much more do you think the public knows now? And how much more do you think the public should know?
Well, I think obviously they know more. She's talking more. She's given speeches. She was very clear about tariffs right there. And she's got 40 days to communicate other things. Remember, think of this as a business and she's the CEO. She went from lack of favorability, lack of awareness, and way behind Donald Trump, right, to here we are 50 days later from where she started. She's at worst tied, right? People on her economic policy, she was behind Trump 25%. Now she's behind 11%. So she's making progress. And if she just continues along that trend, the trend is her friend, it means she's doing the right things. And so she'll keep on communicating new ideas, new elements. She was a lot more specific on tariffs and where she stands. The difference between her and Donald Trump, to her point, Donald Trump will say what fits to the audience. When I talk to her team about different things, whether it's healthcare, whether it's tariffs, whatever it may be, she goes back and her team does a full analysis. She doesn't just say yes or no. They really dig into what she said. What's the impact?
But there is a critique that actually she will say whatever the audience wants, right? I mean, we look at the tipping, the tipping thing that took place in Nevada. Given some of the details that we don't have on certain things, is that because some of those details would be less favorable in certain audiences?
Do you see the Elon quote? I don't know what you think of Elon, but
I like Elon.
I like Elon too. But she was at 28% favorability,
right.
And then, as you say, things change. She's all the way up to about 50%. I would just argue that filling in the blanks does not account for that move, and that the media coverage has been so positive and almost marked that it's like, we don't have to worry about trying to elect this guy who is clearly not up for another 4 years. And it's not Donald Trump. So they would have, the left and the people that need a candidate would have embraced anyone at that point. And, you know, ABC, it was 100% positive coverage of her, 92% negative of Trump. So Elon says, what changed the media coverage?
Okay, first, what's the most watched news channel? Who are the most watched and viewed and listened to podcasts? Who are the most watched and listened to or
Is it
viewed?
Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, it's not close, right? The number one shows are all Fox. The number one podcast,
So
lean right.
Even in spite of that, she's been able to.
Not in spite of that, meaning, well, in spite of that, meaning the mainstream media is not who you think it is. The mainstream media truly leans right.
Maybe that's why it's only tied then.
Well, maybe, right?
I don't know.
Where do you think she really is in terms of what this election is, in terms of the polls and the betting? Do you look more at betting sites?
No,
what do you
when
look at?
Like, I'm an investor in Polymarket, right?
Okay.
Through a fund, and U.S. citizens can't bet on there, right? So it's kind of a meaningless number. Now, predicted, I haven't really followed, so I don't know.
Right. I was. You know.
Yeah. So everybody has an opinion. I did want to show this. This was on what do you call it? Good Morning America. This is real quick. I'll show this.
Kamala Harris laid out what she called her pragmatic approach for the economy, the top issue for voters, while Donald Trump attacked Harris on the trail and Ukraine's president. Our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, has the latest for us. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Michael. Well, both campaigns know that the economy is the top priority for voters, and the candidates have been hammering each other on the issue. Now, Donald Trump has had the advantage, but polls do show that Kamala Harris is closing the gap, and now she is detailing her plan, hoping to further erode Trump's lead. In must-win Pennsylvania, the vice president outlining her plan to create what she calls an opportunity economy, taking what she calls a pragmatic approach.
I am a capitalist. I believe in free and fair markets. I believe in consistent and transparent rules of the road to create a stable business environment.
Harris well aware that voters favor Donald Trump on the economy, though polls show she's gaining ground. Pitting her vision directly against his, Harris says the former president is looking out for his wealthy friends, not working Americans.
For Donald Trump, our economy works best if it works for those who own the big skyscrapers, not those who actually build them, not those who wire them, not those who mop the floors.
Harris laying out her vision in an 82-page plan, pledging to cut taxes for 100 million Americans, boost small businesses by increasing tax deductions for startups, help first-time homebuyers with down payments, provide a $6,000 tax credit for parents of newborns, and invest in manufacturing at home.
That's what it was. Now, all this stuff she claims she's going to put, you got to qualify for all that. They ain't just going to, you ain't just ain't going to fill out a piece of paper, they're going to give it to you.
No. Nope. It's like the whole student loan forgiveness thing. The people that got, so there were like a lot of stipulations for that. That wasn't for everybody. You only got that if you had been making payments over a certain amount of time. So if you weren't making payments, you weren't like, they kept saying it was free. It wasn't really free because the people I know that got it had been making regular payments.
See?
I know people that got it. Like I said, they were making their payments.
See, folks, this is why you come to the Truth to Freedom podcast. We're on the workroom floor. We're going to give you what's happening. We ain't going to give you fluff. And this provide a $6,000 tax credit for parents of newborns. But at what income level? Because they're not going to give it to everybody.
Right.
So what income level? At what cap income level are they going to put it at that you even can get to 6,000? That's what I'm saying. They throw these stuff out here and it sounds good. All this sounds good. But when it's implemented, there's a whole lot of roadblocks and signs and flags in these programs that is not going to go to everybody like they try to make it seem. I don't know if this is the end or not. Let me see.
To pay for the plan, Harris proposing to raise corporate tax rates, saying in an interview overnight that she will make billionaires pay their fair share.
I am not mad at any.
I am so sick of this. Make them pay their fair share. I mean, Jesus, man. These people, however they made their billions and billions of dollars, they made it. That's their money. And they turn around and say, make them pay their fair share. Well, y'all the ones that got everything all twisted to where they ain't paying their fair share. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Y'all make it seem like these people just created something and they're not paying. Y'all created the laws that they backed you with so they don't have to pay their fair share. It's your fault.
Yep.
And then you're going to turn around and try to use it against them. Oh, we're going to make them pay their fair share. Please. Now, here we go again. She says about creating division. What she just says create division because you got the people on the workroom floor saying, yeah, they should pay their fair share. Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
Anyone for achieving success, but everyone should pay their fair share. And it is not right that the teachers and the firefighters that I meet every day across our country are paying a higher tax than.
That ain't nothing new.
Yeah.
That ain't nothing new. North Carolina teachers are hurting. In fact, North Carolina's a joke now. North Carolina used to be in the top of education. But North Carolina has become a joke, especially since they got the education lottery. Teachers are leaving here left and right. I don't blame them. For the ones that do hang around, God bless them that they feel that they have to stay because if they leave, won't nobody be here. But this is nothing new, Miss Harris. This is nothing new. Y'all act like this is something new. I'm sorry.
The richest people in our country.
But the former president says Harris had 4 years to help the middle class, and she didn't.
Why didn't she do everything 3.5 years ago? She's been there for almost 4 years, and she didn't do it.
Trump is promising to bring business back to the U.S. by slashing taxes and regulations and by imposing sweeping tariffs on foreign imports. But many economists and Harris argue those tariffs will raise prices on Americans.
You don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, and I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues.
And Harris now pivots to the other top issue in this race, immigration. She's set to visit Battleground, Arizona tomorrow, her first visit to the border since entering this race. But first here today back at the White House, she'll be meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Michael.
I'll let you wrap it up there, Quinn. I'm sorry. I ain't got nothing nice to say. You go ahead and wrap it up, sir.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a bunch of mess. It's kind of sad that this is what we got to choose from. We got Kamala on one side, who, to me, it sounds like she's just trying to sell herself. She doesn't have she's just now towards the as it gets closer, and she's been talking to. I feel like she's been talking to her campaign folks and maybe some other politicians to where she's starting to sound like she's picking positions. But it's also just like popular things that people want to hear. And on the other end, we got Trump, who is like, him keep quoting Reagan. That does not, I don't like that at all, because we know what happened with Reagan. And he lowered corporate taxes. He said it. I mean, he said he's gonna lower them again. And he talk about deregulation, like, no, we know what happened as to why we have regulation. Like, companies had to be regulated because they were doing unethical things. I always like to use them having children in mines. Like, we have child labor laws because there were children in mines at one point.
Yep.
So that I don't really like any of that. What he's talking about. That when Reagan was in office and we had all these things happen, the country did go into a really big deficit. Regardless of what he's saying, it's not going to happen. No, it did. We have history to show us. So it's not, and Kamala's her tax policy or economic policy is what Cornel West always calls bread and crumbs to like working class people. It's nothing substantial.
Mm-hmm.
It's $25,000 down on a house. Well, the average house is like $400,000. So I mean, you're gonna pay $375 for it. It's still your mortgage, and with interest rates, your mortgage is still gonna be high. So that doesn't really help. How about we get corporations to stop buying houses and driving up the prices? Because that's what's going on. They're allowing corporations to buy houses and they're sitting on them. It's a mess. I do like though that she said that when she came out and said she's a capitalist, because I get tired of people calling her a Marxist. It's not true. It's just not true. I mean, America as a whole, America is a capitalist country, like through and through. There's nothing socialist about us.
No. I mean, they back
I feel
off
like too. Yeah. Yes. I feel like too that I think Joe Biden even said this, that he wanted to be the next FDR, but I mean that was a joke when I heard him say it. That's a joke, because I knew he wasn't going to do anything FDR did. And a lot of the stuff she's saying, it does sound like FDR type policies.
Mm-hmm.
But none of that is socialist, because they even have FDR saying that his greatest accomplishment was that he saved capitalism. So I think that's all I got. That's all my notes I wrote down.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you just got to sort through the mess. Because like I said, she threw all that stuff out there. When I saw that earlier today, I was like, yeah, but who qualifies for it? It ain't like everybody's going to be able to get it. So at what income level did you cap this off at that you can even qualify for it? And just like you explained with the student loan, when they throw it out there, it sounds great. Yeah. Yay. Sounds good. Till you go and apply or start trying to use these services and you can't get them because you don't qualify, or you have to have done this, or you have to have done that, or it's always some kind of loophole that provides that you can't get to it. And so now you're suffering, but then all of a sudden you see these other people are able to get it and you're trying to figure out what's the deal? What's the dilly? Willie, what's up? So, but that's what we're talking about, America. Truth to freedom. When you know the truth, it'll set you free. And definitely get away from the parties. Be independent, do your research, know who you're voting for, and know that you're going to vote for a person that's truly going to go up there and do some good and not be a politician. The days of the politicians are over. It's just obvious. It's over. Either we're gonna get some real people up there that's gonna make some real changes, or we're gonna keep going through the same rhetoric, and then don't call and complain to us about they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, because y'all voted them in. I'm just saying. So make sure you don't vote them in. All of them need to get out the house. So anyway, before we wrap up, I had asked Quentin to give like 3 policies he would try to implement, if he was running for office and won, and Quentin for president, and I did the same. So just to have a little fun. And so anyway, Mr. Quentin, if you're elected president, what are 3 policies you would plan to implement?
So I think that I think education should be free. I think it's beneficial for the country for it to be free. I think healthcare should be free, and I also think it's beneficial for the country for healthcare to be free. My last one, I don't know, it's probably, more regulations on certain industries, say like housing. I don't think, houses should be affordable. They shouldn't be as high as they are. And everything is for profit. I don't think there are some things that I believe they should not be for profit. They should be, more freely or easily available to people. I won't say free. So.
Right. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. So, well, if I was to run, my top one would be to change our whole tax system. Our whole tax system sucks, and I would just revamp I would throw the whole thing out and just start from scratch, because we don't collect taxes fairly. Everybody don't benefit from the tax program. And definitely, I don't know why we tax overtime, winning earnings. Like, if you win the lottery, why are we taxing that? You won it. You won it. Should be all your if it's $1 billion lottery, you should have the $1 billion. Why do I want any part of it? That's what I would do. And I think if I ran on that alone, I would win. Hands down.
Yeah.
I would win hands down. If I didn't do nothing else but that, I would win hands down.
Don't they tax the ticket sales when you buy a ticket? Isn't that taxed?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think so. But also, I would come up with a program. I think what you was talking about, for seniors. I think once you reach when you reach retirement age, I don't think that medical should be an issue. That would be an issue. I think you don't work all these years, and despite whether you were able to save a lot or Social Security is going to be the only thing you have, you try to educate people, try to give them the best knowledge to give, but people going to do what they're going to do. But still, they work just like anybody else. They get to this age, they're not able to work like they used to. They're not able to do the things they're going to do. And some people are actually living basically off of Social Security. So I don't think that their medical care and needs should be a burden to them. And I think that if we change the tax system, the way we do taxes, there will be more than enough money to take care of our seniors when they get up in their old age. I just think that's something that we should do in return for people that have dedicated their lives to working in America, to make America grow and run, just like the veterans that join and go fight wars and whatever, and we need to take care of them. Same with our seniors. So that would be my second thing. And then third, definitely, we need to be doing our own thing here in America. Drilling for oil, steel, coal, all our resources. I don't know if y'all noticed or not, our farming lands have been sold off. They've had to sell them off, are gone. We don't have nowhere near the many farmers we used to have back in the day. I would try to get all that back somehow. We should be farming our own food. We shouldn't be getting anything from overseas. Nothing. I'm just being honest. They can ship it over here if they want, but our main supply source should be right here in America for all our needs, our food. Everything should be right here in America. And so that's what I would want to implement, getting farmers back. You want to give somebody some money, give a farmer $50,000 so he can get back on his feet and get the equipment that he needs and the seeds and whatever and start growing some food. I just don't get it. There was a story, I gotta find it next time we come on it, but there was a story where farmers was taking food because they didn't have nowhere, they couldn't take it anywhere. And so the food was just piling up and going bad. And I think they was taking it somewhere and dumping it because they couldn't take it to market and they couldn't get it overseas. They couldn't do nothing with it. And so they're harvesting all this food and they ended up throwing it away, basically. And that story just went away. I remember that story. I'm going to find it and find out exactly why they was doing it. I forget what the situation was. But food was just piling up and they was taking it somewhere and dumping it. And yet we got all these homeless people walking around the streets. I just don't get it.
Yep.
So, anyway, you got anything else to add? Because if not, sir, that's going to be it for this session.
No, I don't have anything.
So, I tell you what, America, it's a lot going on. And it's a lot more than probably what you are aware of. Dig deep. Dig for the facts. Don't believe the hype. And, keep a level head and don't fall for the rhetoric because it's not about black and white. It's not about none of the stuff that they argue about. We are all under the same umbrella. And if you haven't noticed, we're all suffering the same thing. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. You can throw all that mess out because we're all suffering the same thing. So we all need to come together, pay attention to what's going on, and let's fight this thing. Again, something that young girl said in that thing when she was speaking about, she thanked Kamala for giving her voice a seat at the table. And when she said that, it resonated with me what we've been saying. We don't have a seat at the table. The American people that are suffering, that's out here on the workroom floor, that's just barely surviving, we don't have a seat at the table. You don't have a seat at the table when you just give your vote to a party. You just give it to the Democratic Party or you just give it to the Republican Party, but you notice they don't address your issues. That's why they address the the Rainbow Coalition party, because it's enough of them that they want their votes. And so they gave them a seat at the table. Same with all the rest of these big organizations, they give money, whatever. That's why they got a seat at the table. If you want a seat at the table, hey, here you go. The Truth to Freedom Party. We are for the people, by the people, and with the people. You want to start a party, start the Truth to Freedom Party and join us, and we're going to get a seat at the table. So I'm just telling you, that's the only way we're going to get a seat at the table is to unite and join and make our vote truly count and not just give it to somebody. So,
yep.
Anyway, America, thank you so much for joining us. Do us a favor. Please like, share, leave a review. It helps amazing people like you find this podcast. It helps it push it up through the algorithms. And the more people that like it, it goes up. The more people that share it, it goes up. Also, you will be able to leave a comment. Leave a comment on the thing. If you look into the description, our email address is in there. I just checked the other day. I didn't see not one email. I keep telling y'all, send an email if you don't agree or you disagree or you have something else you want us to talk about. Send us an email. I'm going to check again tonight. But like I said, I already checked. Nobody sends an email. But it's in the description. You can send us an email. But anyway, we love you, America. We thank you for supporting us. We thank you for watching. Until the next time, this is James Parker along with Mr. Quentin Williams.
Yo.
And we will see y'all next time on the Truth to Freedom podcast. Real talk for real people. And until the next time, as always, God bless.